Java compiler will runs. So we will be writing this particular Java code, means the Java file, and then when we given the command Java C, so now this particular code will be converted into bytecode. So now this will be converted into the class file. Okay. Now once we have been done this one, so now what are the JVM will do is it loads the code, verify the code, execute the code. So these all things would be done by the JVM. So now JVM would be a basic platform where it consumes that particular whatever the things which we have been written, so that it will take it and then it will help you to proceed further with the execution. But who does that particular execution and all? So that is where it will go for the JRE. So now anyways, before going to that one, so I just wanted to show you that particular diagram, but unfortunately I don't have that particular diagram here. So let me bring it back at least tomorrow. I can see that one. Okay, let me take you through this particular PPT, so which is for the JRE. Now, what is this particular JVM and the JRE? So now we have been discussed about these two particular pointers. So which it is, we have been discussed about Java C, and then we have been seen with the JVM. Now, what is this particular JRE? So now, according to this particular JRE, Java Runtime Environment, the name itself, it was saying that runtime environment. Now you see here the extension for this particular thing. Now what it happened, I created this particular Java file and then it converted into this particular byte file and given that particular byte file to the JVM, and then it converted into the low level or assembly language or the machining language. So now once it converted, it should be executed, right? Where it would be executed. So this would be executed in the JRE. So to execute in this particular environment, we should require certain libraries to execute in this. So those particular libraries, you would be getting it to execute with the help of these particular libraries. Don't worry, I'll show you that what are those particular jar files also. With means for this particular libraries plus JVM. So with the help of the JVM, what it was trying to convert means it is converting into the low level language or the assembly language. Now everything is ready. And with the help of these particular libraries, it can be executed and then generate that particular results. So this is what it is called as Java runtime environment. So Java runtime environment is nothing but it with the help of JVM and with the certain libraries, it takes then it executes that whatever the converted code. So now you have this assembly language and machine language, right? So now you converted this code. Now to execute this particular code, you should require certain libraries, right? So providing that particular libraries and executing that particular area. So that is called Java runtime environment. So JRE is nothing but JVM plus some libraries which it can provide you the JRE. So this is how it is interlinking. So now you see it, right? So first .java file, and with the help of compiler, it converts into .class file and checks the syntactical errors and give it to the JVM. So JVM will take the complete bytecode into it and then convert them into the assembly language and the machining language. And once after converting that particular language, then with the help of certain libraries, so it will execute that particular program. So execution platform and doing that particular execution, JRE is the responsibility of this one. So now you see it, right? How cleanly it is passing the ball from one area to next area, means from JVM to the JRE. So this is how the JVM and JRE is interlinked. So holistically, so this is how the diagram will represent for you. So now, first of all, I'll give you now at a high level. So now previously we have been discussed in this internally, right? I'll give the class A dot Java file. Okay, this goes to class A dot class file. Now from this, it goes to JVM. So from the JVM, plus some libraries will be having it to execute that. So now this is what it is called as JRE. So now JRE plus development activities. We will perform certain development activities. So these together, it is called as JDK, Java Development Kit. So now you, by this itself, you are getting it, development kit. What are the development activities you'll be trying to do? You'll compile the code, you'll execute the code, and you generate that particular results. And you have other, means 10 to 15 activities will be performing it. So those all the activities combined to form these particular development activities. So GRE plus development activities, it is called as JDK. When you install this particular Java into your system, you will be having JRE folder and JDK folder. So we can have only JRE. So now what it will happen is, it will help you to execute your program only. No other activities you can perform on this. But when you have the JDK, then you can write the code, compile the code, edit the code, and then execute the code, and then generate the results. So these all things are development activities, right? Writing the code, compiling the code, editing the code, executing it, generating the results. So these all things are the development activities. So now what we required JRE or JDK. Which one we required for now, for proceeding further with us?
JDK.
JDK.
So because we are going to write the code, execute the code, everything we are doing it. So that's the reason we required the JDK. So we require, because if you have JDK, by default you'll have JRE. If you have JRE, by default you have JVM.
JVM.
Yeah.
So now this is how this particular compiler, JVM, JRE, JDK, everything is interlinked. Now let's see. Now, as soon as you have been installed this particular Java into your system, now step number one, what we will do is, so we will go for the command prompt, and so we wanted to check whether the Java is installed properly or not. So Java hyphen version. So now you can see it. So mine is the old version. So because I need to support for multiple frameworks and the codes, so I can't update immediately into the 17. So now this is how we'll be verifying whether the Java is installed properly into the system or not. So now it is installed. Now what is a version? I can see it. So it is 1.8. So now this is Java 8 version which I have been installed. Now let me go and see where this particular Java is installed. Now C drive, program files, Java. See now C program files, Java. I click on this one. Now you can see it here, JRE and JDK. Because I have multiple installations, that's the reason I'm having the overlapping folders. But you need to see this one, JDK and JRE. So for you, you will be having only two files. One is JDK, one is JRE. Now just click on these particular files. Now you can see that bin, lib, and then all these particular informations you'll be having it. Now going to this lib is nothing but library. Okay, so now you can see that. So these are all the library files which you have it. And the most important files are this particular rtjar, and JSC jar, JFR, JSC. So now I told you right here in this particular in the explanation. So JVM JVM plus certain libraries. Okay, JVM plus some libraries, which it will create me JRE, right? So these are the libs which I talked about. So in the JRE, you will be having these particular libs. Always remember, so this is very, very important jar files, which is RT and then JSSC and JFR. Okay, what it will be there in these particular jar files, but it is not really required. At least you should know that. Now, for when we are understanding this particular GRE, what are the important libraries which we wanted to have it? So to execute that particular program. So what is the purpose of the GRE? If you wanted to execute certain programs in your machine, then you install only GRE. So now GRE will help us to only execute the programs. If you wanted to develop your programs, write the code, execute the code, compile the code, doing all these things, then you go for the JDK. So now while we installing this one also, so actually speaking, I'll be showing it from the installation. So how you are going to install this one. But as I know, I understand that Pina help you to do the installation. I was not talking from the Java installation part. So now how to download that one? So now we will be having multiple editions. So Java editions. So now that particular editions, you choose that. So you will be choosing this particular JDK, and then you'll be installing that one into your system. Start when you install this one into your system. So there you'll be finding into this particular C folder, program files, Java. Here you can see that JRE and JDK. So now in this particular JRE, I'll go to this particular libs, and in the libs, I'll be having this. So with the help of this particular libs, it will help me to take the bytecode and execute that one and generate the results for me. That is the purpose of the JRE. Now JDK, so now here once again you can see it. So JDK will have the respective its own libraries. So now you see here. So JDK by default it have the JRE inside this. So that is what we have been discussed, right? So JRE plus development activities. Now for doing that, see now JRE plus development activities. Now what are the development activities it was having it? So those are the other lib files which it have internally to it. So here we'll be having whatever it required files for this one for the development activities. So this is called JDK. Got it? So now as soon as we installed, so how this particular JDK and JRE would be there in our systems. This is what the step number one. So to give a quick recap, what we have been discussed. So we have been discussed what is a program language, and what is a compiler versus interpreter, and what is the Java compiler do, and what is JVM do, what is JRE, what is JDK. So these are the things which we have been discussed till now. And practically we seen it means how this particular JRE JDK would be installed into our instance when we install this particular Java. So this is what we have been seeing it. Now we will let's see that we write a small program and then see how this would be converted into this particular Java file into this particular class file.
Dot class.
That class file. We will try to see this one. Okay, now for writing this one, we'll be using this particular editor. So don't worry what is this particular editor and how we wanted to do this. All those things will be discussed, and what is this particular project and how to create these particular projects. So these all things we will discuss in detail. Okay, so I use the same example as a dummy mummy. Okay, I created this complete project. So now into this particular project, first let me means what is this particular package and this particular project. So these all things I'll explain you in detail tomorrow. Okay, so now I'll be giving this one. Okay, so the source folder is not the Java file. Okay. Okay. So I'll be creating certain files over here. So now rather than using the new project, I was using the same one. Okay. So I actually I wanted to create a small class file here so that I can clearly understand what exactly it can be done. So now I'll be giving you, this is what my first class. So you don't worry. So tomorrow, what are the things you need to see it? These are the things which I'll be explaining you tomorrow. So tomorrow, what you need to do is you need to create a project and you need to create a package and you need to create a class, and in the class you need to perform this, a simple execution program. So tomorrow the explanation, what is the explanation is what is Eclipse and how to create a project and how to create a package, what is package and how we will be creating the different packages, and what is a class and how to create that particular class. So these all things will be discussed as part of tomorrow's session. Okay, so just for your explanation, I just wanted to show you how this would be written. So now if you see here, I have written this particular class file. So let me close all others. Okay, so this is what my class file. So now you see here the class name first underscore class dot java. I have been given it. So now I have been given this particular class, and here, by the way, so to delete that particular line, Control D, it deletes that line because as a shortcuts I use frequently, so that's it. SYSO. Okay, SYSO control spacebar. So it will gives me this. So now what I'll try to do is this is first class of Java. I just created this particular file. So now you see it, right? Now still you are seeing the star, means this program is not yet saved. Control S. Now the file is saved. So what we are trying to do is we created a particular class. The class name is first class. So here also, as the file, this is the file name. Okay, this is the file name you are seeing on this particular top right. So this is the file name and this is the class name. So always you remember file name and class name would be same. Okay, if I change this particular file name into the class name is, I can say that this is first class first. Now I'm writing it as Java hyphen class, Java class. So now you see it, it was throwing me the error message because the file name is different and the class name is different. Now what it need to do, see when I hover on this one, it was asking me either change the file name to this or change the class name into this. So then let me change this particular file name. So now you see it, first Java class. And this is mandatory. This is what the syntax which we talked about it. So now it changed. Now what it means, what is this particular main class or anything you forgot. So now what is this is you wanted to start your car or you need to start your bike. Then what you do, you'll ignite with your keys or you'll have a button to get started, right? So this is where the execution will get started in the main method. Okay, in the main method, the execution will start it. So now here I have been written a simple program system.out.println. So this is the first class of Java. Now we wanted to execute this one. So now here I'll have a play button, green color play button. So where I can execute this particular play button for this one. So for running this one, I can have multiple options to do it. So now, for example, if you see on the, anyways, we'll explain about each and every menu items and all. You don't worry about it as this is the first class. First, just I wanted to show you what is .java file and how it will be converted into class file and how the bytecode will look like. So this is what I wanted to show. So that only you need to keep that in mind. These all things not really required. Now to run this one, Control F11 is a shortcut key to execute it. And always you need to learn this particular shortcut keys. Control F11. I have been clicked on it. See, as soon as I execute it, I'm getting the output here. See, this is what means this is first class of Java. So now this is what I asked the main to execute this. It executed and printed me. So for printing something, we'll be using this system.println. So this we can write it in the way that SYSO control space bar. It will come. And inside this, what I wanted to print it, so I'm going to write that particular information. Okay. Please. Okay. Or I'll be writing this as have fun with Java. Okay. So now these are the statements. Now what I wanted to execute this program, what I need to do? Control F11.
F11.
So now
F11.
see, it was asking me, was before you executing it, save always. So now I'm trying to save this one. Save this one. Now you can see it, right? So this is the first class of Java and have the fun with Java. So it executed. Okay. Now let me see that where is this particular files and these things has been stored for it. Now I'll just give this right click. If I wanted to know where this particular class file, see somewhere else it is stored, right? Where exactly this is stored. If I wanted to know that particular information, just right click on this and click on the properties. And the properties, you can see this particular path. So now if you click on this one, it will take you to this respective path. Okay. Now where it is stored is C drive, users, admin, downloads, the framework, and in this framework source, main, Java, com, dummy, and test. So now let's come from the beginning. So now this is what our class file. Sorry, path. So C drive. And then I go to the users. In the users admin. In the admin downloads. Downloads. Okay. In the downloads, the project. So this is there are a lot of projects here. Huh? What is the project name? I forgot. 06. Okay. So 06. Okay, so here we have the project. Okay. Now I'm going to this particular project. And in this particular project, what is the next path?
SRS.
Once again, I have the folder on this inside this one. Okay. And then in the SRS main Java com dummy test the Java file. So you've seen it, right? So actually, I should come like this. Let me take you directly to here. You've seen it, right? So this is how I come to this particular file. Okay. Now, main SRC. Okay. So in the main, so now you can see it here. So here the folder structure also the same. You can see it. So this is what the project SRC main Java com. You can see it here. SRC main Java com dummy test first class Java. So you can see it here. So this is how this .java file is present for us. And how this particular dummy file means we will be having this particular class file, right? .class file. So because I created in another project structure, it was getting hampered here. I'll do one thing. .class file, I'll show it to tomorrow. So now this is how this particular .class file I have been showing you, right? Same way we will be having here dot class file. So that I'll show it to you tomorrow, because I'll create a new project and then I'll show it, because this is in the framework I have been created. I created here, but I shifted to this one to have the convenience. So tomorrow I'll change this one accordingly, and then I'll explain you cleanly on this. So what is the homework for you for today is, so what is this Eclipse? And in this particular Eclipse, how to create a project, how to create a package, and what is package, and first class, and then writing this particular piece of code. Just print whatever you wanted to print. So this is what you need to do it for tomorrow's class. And tomorrow, based upon your explanation and these things, I'll reiterate what is this particular project and class and file, and how we compile this, and what is this editor, and what are the things we need to learn from this editor. So these all things we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay. Any questions? So hope we understood like what we need to do